Savitri, in her inner journey, is going to meet the first aspect of her soul, a personality, a deity, a goddess, an occult goddess, what the poet calls Madonna of suffering and sorrow and pity. She is the Karunamaya Mata seated in the deep soul of Savitri, and she is narrating her story, her work, her account, how she is engaged in various activities to bring out the possibilities of the soul into expression. So, this Karunamaya Mata, Devi, whatever you want to call it, is telling Savitri that she has come here to share the grief and sorrow of the world. She is the one who is also guarding man from suffering, accepting the universe as her body of woe. Her body itself is a body of suffering. She has accepted. In other words, in reality, in her own home, she is not that. She is in a body of bliss. But when he has come into human relationship, become a part of the soul which is evolving in the human way, she has accepted this body of woe for a certain purpose. Only by accepting human suffering can man be led beyond that to other possibilities. The mother of the seven sorrows bore 7 steps, pierced her bleeding heart. She is bearing 7 sorrows. Last time we saw what these 7 sorrows are. The reference is pretty obvious. It is reference to the mother of Christ. She suffered with 7 steps, and each sorrow was a kind of a stab on her soul. She sees her own son carrying the cross, bleeding, being whipped, being thrown by the masses, being abused. She is suffering that. There cannot be anything more sorrowful for a mother to see than seeing her own son suffering that way. But she bears even that kind of a sorrow. The mother of the 7 sorrows bore the 7 steps that pierce her bleeding heart. The beauty of sadness lingered on her face. She is sad, the tears are rolling on her cheeks. The tears have become frozen drops, but they themselves also add to a kind of a beauty to their face, and she looks really beautiful even while she is weeping and crying, because her inner being, her real being is in contact with what is behind this suffering, and it is that which keeps her also always beautiful. The beauty of sadness lingered on her face. Her eyes were dim with the ancient stain of tears. Ancient, this is the sorrow, this is the weeping, these are the tears which have been coming almost from the beginning of this creation. Why man has to suffer in this world? and it is that sorrow she is carrying her. Her heart was riven with the world's agony, riven, broken, split. That is the quality of the heart this lady has. There is a line in Savitri which uses this word riven in a very, very powerful way. The riven, invisible atoms, omnipotent force. That is the line. The riven, invisible atoms, omnipotent force. In one line, the yogi poet has given us the entire theory of nuclear fission. How in the depth of matter is locked the omnipotent force, the unaccountable energy which is coming out here. The moment you break it, it comes out, emerges. Here it is the riven heart. The heart was riven with the world of agony. So when the heart is riven, what will come out? The springs of joy. They have to come out from that. And that is what is going to happen also. And burdened with the sorrow and struggle in time, and anguished music trailed in her rapt voice. She is sorrowful, yet there is a sweetness in her voice. There is a certain charm, there is a certain kind of a lilt which is carrying her forward. And anguished music, the music itself is feeling the anguish of the suffering in her rapt voice, absorbed in a deep compassion's ecstasy. She is drawn within into some kind of a deep compassion, lifting the mild ray of her patient gaze. She is watching everything all around which is going on in the inner world. She is watching all the while, and then she tells Savitri in soft, sweet, training words. Slowly she spoke, and she is going to narrate her story, her role in this creation. There are like that 3 major goddesses in our soul, and this is the first one who is coming forward and narrating her story. It is a story of the mother of pity, of compassion, of help, of succor, which we receive from within us. She says, "O Savitri, I am thy secret soul." She asserts, she tells Savitri, "Look, I have come out here because I am a part of your soul." Savitri at the moment does not know her soul. In fact, she is in search of her soul, and while she is going deeper and deeper within, she is meeting these powers. And this lady now comes and says, "Savitri, here I am, a part of your soul, and let me tell you what is residing in your soul." Basically, it is the soul of Savitri which is speaking it out through this Devi, this lady, this Madonna. To share the suffering of the world, I came. I have accepted this role, because unless I suffer, unless I experience the agony of this creation, how can I solve the problem of this suffering? I must experience that thing, and I have put on that yoke on my neck and carrying my life forward. I share the suffering of the world. I came. I draw my children's pangs into my breast. They are hungry, they are weeping, they are beaten, they are given ill treatment. All that anguish I see, and I draw their suffering into my soul here. I draw my children's pangs into my breast. I am the nurse of the dollar beneath the stars. They are suffering, but I nurse their suffering. Their sorrow, their grief, which is there, the dolor, which is there, it is that I nurse, I kind of attend to that constantly. I am the nurse of the dollar beneath the stars, under this creation, under the eye of heaven. All this is happening, is true, but this is a part of the whole process through which things have to move, and I accepted this role to see the suffering in this creation, to participate in this creation so that it can be then removed. I am the nurse of the dolor beneath the stars. Now the poet is using the word dolor, grief, suffering, with a reference again to Christ carrying the cross on his back. He is going up with that heavy cross, and that road on which he is climbing is called Via Dolorosa, the road of suffering and grief. He is carrying that cross up there, Via Dolorosa. So that has now of course become a sacred spot, sacred pilgrim place where you experience that kind of a thing. So he is again suggesting, apart from the phrase he had used earlier, 7 sorrows, 7 steps, the Dolorosa is pretty clear. The way Christ's mother Mary experienced the suffering is what we have here. Now, in the Indian traditions, we don't have really any goddess in that sense who suffer and present herself like this. This is to a large extent an experience of Christianity, which is a valid experience. We might say that the strong, robust Indian tradition missed this delicate aspect of relationship with suffering of man in his creation. But in Savitri you have a comprehensiveness of presenting all the aspects of human life, human nature, human psychology, human ways of handling things. And this is one very good example in that sense. I am the nurse of the dolor beneath the stars. I am the soul of all who wailing writhe under the ruthless harrow of the gods. So we have got a plow, and it's being plowed, so you make wrinkles on the soil. It is the suffering of the soil in a way, but it is also something which has been given by God himself. Harrow of the gods. Gods can be in a sense cruel, because only by plowing the land the seeds can sprout. So although it may look a very harsh act on their part, but they are also putting seeds of something which will spring up in terms of living life and bring flowers, fruits, trees, that, see. Under the ruthless harrow of the gods. Harrow, this reminds us immediately the instruments which are used by the Christian Church during the time of Inquisition. Galileo was imprisoned, house imprisonment. He was shown instruments of torture to admit that what he was saying is wrong. These are the instruments of horror, of harrows, like that he was shown. There will be a roller with spikes, and somebody will press this thing on your stretched legs, and you know what kind of suffering it will be then, you see. These are the harrows like that, you see. And these have been devised by man. But here it is at a much deeper level. You have to really worry about the foundation on which the life has come up from in conscience, where there is no awareness at all. If you have to shake it up, if you have to wake it, if you have to provide some kind of stirring into that situation, naturally you have to use sort of ruthless methods, and therefore it becomes a harrow of the gods in that sense. Under the ruthless harrow they call, I am woman, nurse and slave and beaten beast. She is narrating the whole of story in one single line. I provide medicine, I provide help to the wailing creature. I am of course woman with a kind, tender heart. I am slave carrying water on my head, preparing food, doing all household works like any ordinary slave, and I am a beaten beast. I had to carry the plough on the field, and the farmer will use his whip. I am used to that. The water has been put up from the well, and the bull has to be goaded, pushed through, use the whip. That is the kind of a thing she says I am working. During the independence movement, those who were sent to Andamans, they had a certain quota of job to do. 20 kilo of oil had to be crushed by every prisoner every day. If you don't do that, you are whipped, you are tortured. It was a routine thing. On one occasion, Savarkar, he could not complete his quota, but his friend, Bengali, he said, don't worry, I will fulfill that quota. And he completed quota on his behalf. So that is the kind of a ruthlessness we have in our heart, in our being, in our, I'll not say soul, but in our nature. And it is that she is feeling, it is that she is expressing, look, I am suffering, I am experiencing all this suffering. When a cart driver was whipping the bull, the mass of the whip went on the back of Ramakrishna. He felt the agony the bull would have felt on that day. It is that kind of an identification this lady has with all human creatures, with all human beings, with the nature at that level. And it is there why, unless you experience, you cannot solve it, this whole thing. I am woman, nurse and slave and beaten beast. I tend hands that gave me cruel blows. You hit me, whip me and all that all the while. But still I tender the same very hand. I tend the hands that gave me cruel blows. The hearts that spurned my love and zeal I serve. You have rejected my love, my tenderness, my affection for you, but still I am not counting on that part of it. I will do my job, I will serve you. The hearts that spurned my love and zeal I serve. I am the courted queen in the Paris mansion. I am the courted queen, the pampered doll. You decorate, you give all kinds of things to a doll, play with it. I am even that. I am a queen with hundreds of servants serving me and all that thing. I am all that. I am the courted queen, the pampered doll. I am the giver of the bowl of rice. You are hungry, here is food for you. This is what I give to everybody. I am the giver for a bowl of rice. I am the worshipped angel of the house. All these phases I see, all these aspects of life I see here, I experience here. You are worshipping me, you are whipping me, you are beating me. All those things are there. Husbands are beating wives, children are beaten in the school. All these things are there. I am experiencing those things. Punishment is there, common, everywhere. I am experiencing that thing, but at the same time, I am also pampered by all these nice things of life. I am the worshipped angel of the house. I am in all that suffers and that cries. It is I who is really crying through them. It is not they really, they are crying. It is my soul who is crying within, from within. I am in all that suffers and that cries. Mine is the prayer that climbs in vain from earth. It has not enough power to reach where it should reach. Mine is the prayer that climbs in vain from earth. I am traversed by my creatures' agonies. I am the spirit in a world of pain. This is what I am here. The scream of tortured flesh and tortured hearts, fallen back on heart and flesh, unheard by heaven. Heaven cannot listen to those things, but I experience this here daily. It is because of me, perhaps through me, heaven is recognizing that there is agony, there is suffering, there is torture in this creation. Fallen back on heart and flesh, unheard by heaven, has rent with helpless grief and wrath my soul. I have seen the peasant burning in his hut. He has no food, there is famine, he commits suicide. I have seen all these things, I have been experiencing all these things. I have seen the peasant burning in his hut. I have seen the slashed corpse of the slaughtered child. There cannot be anything cruel than that. The child has been slaughtered by mercenary or whosoever it be, and then he rips open that corpse of the child. For what? To pluck some flesh for eating, for consuming. There cannot be anything cruel than that. I have seen all these things happening in this creation. I have seen the slashed corpse of the slaughtered child, heard woman's cry, ravished and stripped, and hail, she is dragged on the walls, on the paths, on the footroads. Hailed, stripped, given beaten, whips and all that. Heard woman's cry, ravished and stripped and hailed. Amid the bayings of the hellhound mob, I had looked on. I had no power to save. That is my limitation. I see, I experience all these things, but I am helpless. I can't do much than that. I have brought no arm of strength to aid or slay. I can only give consolation, I can nurse, I can do this, I can do that. Mary is standing there. In no way she is in a position to help her son Christ carrying the cross. She is watching all the while. I have brought no arm of strength to aid or slay. God gave me love. He gave me not His force. Prema He has given me. I am spreading that pain. I am spreading, giving to everybody that love, that prema. But the force is required to fight against these forces that I lack. I don't have. So I am a weak lady in that sense, Karunamayi, but unless I got strength, I am helpless.